How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF, and today I'd like to go over with you how to cut paint protection film on a vehicle. This hood that we have here was actually picked up across the street at a body shop. I got it for free because it's got some damage and they were just gonna throw it away. So it's got a ton of painted surface left on it for practicing what we're going to be showing you today. So cutting paint protection film on the paint is a necessary skill for anybody that's going to be installing any type of paint protection film. Whether you're going to be bulking it or installing kits, all of it's going to need to be trimmed by hand a little bit here and there. Sometimes I can get a kit installed where I don't need to trim it, although that's rare. So we've got a scrap piece of material here. Let's go ahead and get this on the hood and then we'll do some practicing. So when you're laying out this piece of paint protection film on the hood, I find that it's best if you leave an edge hanging off over the paint. And I'll show you why. That gives you an easy area to tear the material from. So starting out trimming paint protection film and practicing, I would definitely start out on a flat surface and then graduate into trimming on the peaks and valleys. Okay, so before you actually start trimming on the vehicle, you want to get yourself a nice new fresh blade. So when I'm going to go to cut the material on the paint, I'm going to hold the Olfa knife at about a 10-degree angle. And then my fingers here are going to be running across the paint protection film, and that is going to help me keep that angle. This is how I'm holding the blade. So all these fingers are going underneath, and then these two are actually pinching the blade, and then these ones are pushing up a little bit on the bottom of the blade. I don't recommend any type of fingers on top of the blade because it doesn't take very much pressure with your finger to be too much and go through and hit the paint. When I'm trimming the paint protection film, I'm going to leave out about 3 to 4 blades. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this. What we're going to be listening for is a squeak as we go across the paint protection film. So move nice and slow, and that'll help you hear the squeak more. If you move too quickly, you'll lose the squeak. I'm not putting much pressure onto the paint protection film. I'm really just dragging the blade across it. All right, so when I'm trimming and it's not hanging off the edge, what I do is I look for my score on the material, I stick my fingernail just on the other side of it, and I pull away. And that gives me a good edge to start tearing from. And when I'm tearing this, you can actually see that the material is peeling up a little bit. And that will help tell you that you've got a nice amount of pressure on the paint protection film. If you've got more soap in there, you're going to get a lot more of it peeling up. The other thing that's important when you're pulling the material away from your cut is that you are pulling it away. If you pull it this direction and you happen to hit an edge where you didn't get enough pressure, it's going to tear into your pattern, so we definitely don't want that to happen. So with trimming the paint protection film, I would recommend doing some straight cuts and then doing some wavy cuts. And that'll just help you get some practice on things that you are going to run into while doing your install. So you can hear that nice squeak. And if I move too fast like that, you can hear that one away. When I slow back down, you can hear the squeak again. You'll also notice that when I'm cutting the paint protection film or when I'm trimming it, that I am not really talking and my environment is very quiet. Even after all these years of experience trimming on the paint, I still have a quiet environment and I'm really paying attention to what I'm doing. All right, so with each cut on the paint protection film, and after you remove the new cut, you can go back and look at your previous cut to make sure that you didn't hit the paint. Let's go ahead and practice now cutting across the hood through the peaks and valleys. All right, so when we come across these, you'll notice that like as I come up, I'm going to be adjusting my blade angle so that I stay as close as I can to that 10-degree angle. And you'll notice as I get over here to this recess that I'm going to lose my squeak sound. And what that's from is just that, you know, you're not going to get a good angle. You're not going to be able to keep that 10-degree angle in an area like this. And so it's just important that you know that just because you're not getting a squeak sound doesn't mean you're not getting a good cut. That'll all be something that you'll understand as you get further along in learning how to do this. So another great skill that you're going to need for cutting paint protection film is being ambidextrous. So you're definitely going to want to put some time into trimming with your non-dominant hand. So it's a good idea when you're learning how to trim paint protection film that you do a lot of cutting out like shapes and different angles on the angles of the hood. This will give you a ton of great practice keeping the blade at the correct angle and making sure that you're not cutting too deep. All right, so that's one way to practice trimming on paint protection. Let's go ahead and lay a piece of paint protection film on here dry. And then we'll go ahead and trim across this. So I am hearing some squeaking, but not quite as much as I do when I'm trimming on the paint on the hood. Okay, so that seems to work pretty decent as something to do if you can't find a painted panel of some sorts. You could also do this on any type of aluminum or plastic and just make sure that you're not going through and hitting those substrates. Let's go ahead and do one more and try to do a little bit wavy. This I feel like is kind of an awkward pressure. I've never cut on a bloom before, but I don't feel like it's the same as cutting on paint, although it will definitely help you if you can't find a panel like this. So let's go ahead and do one more cut on this. So the other thing I'm noticing with this technique is that it's hard to start the tear. So just use that technique if you have to. All right, so this is a great technique for learning how to cut paint protection film on the paint of a vehicle before you actually start cutting on your own vehicle or a customer's car. There's nothing worse during an install than hitting the paint on a vehicle. Terrific. Well, I appreciate you taking a look. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.